I don't know if you ever had this happen to you, but I sat down one day and I said, what if I didn't? Woulda, shoulda, we all had those things. And I saw other people doing things. Instead of sitting back and being jealous and envious, I decided to come out of my comfort zone.
Welcome back, Wolfpack fans. Today on the podcast, we have Dr. Rita Renee, a TEDx speaker, international keynote, and best-selling author. Welcome, Dr. Renee.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you're here. Give us a little bit more, maybe the elevator pitch you would like the listener to know about you.
Sure. I'm Dr. Rita Renee, your ultimate powerhouse coach. I help women who are in trauma come out of the shadows, off the sidelines, and on stages to tell their authentic story without any apologies and with all authority.
Telling your authentic story. That sounds like you said it so confidently. However, I think there are some barriers and some struggles people have when they think about being authentic and genuine. How do you get them to overcome those?
Yes. First of all, everything that we see on social media, I think that has a lot to do with it, is not real. That imposter syndrome is really real. So there's only one you, and the world is waiting for that authentic person to come out. So I say, go ahead, unmute yourself, share your story, and don't be afraid and don't be ashamed.
I like that because I think I read the statistics are there's a 1 in 33 billion chance you and I would be sitting in this room having this conversation together, meaning that, the sperm and the egg met at that second and we lived our decades and here we are. So we're meant to do something big.
Absolutely.
What is something you are most proud of that you have done recently? We had a little chat before the microphones got turned on, so I'm going to let you brag a bit.
Yes, standing on that red dot for the TEDx Raleigh was amazing on August the 23rd. Something I thought I would never do. I'm so excited that I did have the opportunity to do that.
Congratulations. That was a tremendous amount of work, and we're so honored that you get to talk a little bit with our folks today. I'd like to talk about the book that you wrote, Sisterhood in Action, because you highlight the power of women and women lifting each other up. And we have women in our programs that may not be as confident. You mentioned imposterism. And I would love to hear you say a little bit more about how can engineers who are often trained in very technical problem-solving ways tap into some of the spirit of collaboration as they might try to move into entrepreneurship as you have.
Absolutely. Well, engineers, we know they're supposed to solve problems, and they solve a lot of our problems. So for you to be a entrepreneur, you can't be silent. You have to partner. And I say put yourself out there. Sit back. I know you've seen probably a lot of things in life, whether it's a process in management, whether it's a process of building, whatever it is, you have that inside of you to solve that issue. Women have this thing that we can create something out of nothing. I don't know what it is. Even as a child, I would see my mom create meals without anything, right? And so engineers, women, I want you to know that we need your expertise. There's something that someone else cannot see, but through your eyes, through your trials, through your failures, you can actually build an empire. And we see women doing it now. I know women who are in construction now, women who are building buildings and women are building the world. And so I want ladies to collaborate together. Talk to your peers. Come together and say, hey, let's solve this issue together. Don't stay silent. And I think that's where we can get the most out of it, is when we start opening up and sharing our ideas. Because a lot of times we're in this world of engineers where it's mostly men, and we feel like that our opinions and our thoughts, our ideas, our ways of executing and solving an issue is not going to be well received. But I say, women, don't let that stop you. Open your mouth.
Open your mouth, and that's something that you did. So you also received a doctorate degree. You went through a very similar kind of rigorous educational training, and you have just accomplished this huge goal, multiple goals, writing books. Another one of your books is coming out. What got into you that made you think you could accomplish all that?
I don't know if you ever had this happen to you, but I sat down one day and I said, what if I didn't? woulda, shoulda. We all had those things. And I saw other people doing things. Instead of sitting back and being jealous and envious, I decided to come out of my comfort zone. And don't think about trying to build the whole elephant. Well, build Rome in a day. You can't do that. You can't eat the whole elephant, right, at one time. Take bits and pieces, just one little step. So I started with journaling. And then I found out my journaling was turning into a whole story. I was like, you know what? I might as well just go ahead and start this story. But also, it was a healing process for me. Going and writing those books and starting that business, it was a healing journey. I saw so many people who told me that I couldn't do it. It made me want to do it to prove them wrong. And I think, that can be a superpower in itself. And that can give you a whole lot of energy.
I like that you touched on this notion earlier about social media, how it can be the highlight reel, and how it can be easy to compare yourself and have that jealousy. And we learned in an earlier episode with Dr. Amna Shabir about envy, which can be benign envy, where you see what other people are doing and it lifts you up and it gets you excited rather than thinking, oh, they got that award. Why didn't I get that award? How do you utilize benign envy to motivate you?
Wow. Me sitting on that front row at TEDx, and I saw those people sharing their stories and having so much courage. It kind of ignited something in me. It pushed me to a place that, you know what, you no longer can stay in a corner anymore. Like, your voice can have power. You have so many ideas. You have been through so much. You can help so many people. And so even with social media, I use that as a catapult for me to energize my thoughts and my ideas when I see other women, oh, they're doing a conference. You know what? I have an idea. I can collaborate with other women and I can do a conference. And even with these women who are engineers, you can come together and have your group of people to come together and say, hey, we're having a meeting on this day. And if you're in engineering, guess what? And you're struggling, come together with us. Let us give you some best practices. Let us give you some words of encouragement. Or let's have a safe place where you can vent. That is what is very important to me.
I like that. And that's partially what we're trying to create in our own college through the professional development unit, which is offering webinars and support to students so they don't feel alone and they can share their authentic voice. There is a fear, I call it the F-bomb, and I drop the F-bomb, but the word is actually fear, that holds us back because of the possibility of not being successful, and you use the other F-bomb, fail. How do you get beyond that when it feels like it is weighing so heavily on you and you just want to play it safe, stay on the bench, not get in the game, and not make any mistakes?
You really have to make sure you have a supportive circle. You can't do this journey of life, whether it's school, whether it's entrepreneurship, writing a book, whatever it is, you need to have a circle of people who are going to be there to support you through thick and thin, that can see beyond your imperfections, can see the possibilities in your life, to have a mentor. I had a mentor that encouraged me all the time and said, Rita, you got this. You did the TEDx. I'm so proud of you. And guess what? Next year, she's going to be doing her TEDx. So we encourage and feed off of each other. And you'll be so surprised when you just have that one person or a group of people to be able to cling to. When you start that doubt, those F-bombs start creeping into your mind, you can turn to them and they can give you something more positive to reach for. And you see your increments. It's like you take that one step. You're just one step closer. You may think you're too far away, but you're one step closer to that vision to come to life. And that's why I want these women and the engineers and whoever's listening, just take that one step. You're one step closer. Somebody didn't take that step. You took that one step. And no victory, whether small, is not a victory worth celebrating.
Absolutely. Celebrate the small wins as you're going and remind yourself to treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. Be kind to yourself. And as you were describing that, it made me think a little bit more about your coaching work and talking about confidence and owning your power. What advice would you give to an engineer who feels uncertain about leaving the security of a traditional career to launch something on their own? It sounds super risky.
Yes, it does. I've done that risk myself. Well, for me, I think about what do I want to achieve and what type of legacy I want to leave. What type of legacy do you really want to leave when things have settled down, the dust has settled down? You think about the years that have gone by, you develop your family, all of that has happened. What type of legacy you want to leave? And for me, my footprint, that legacy is encouraging women, as many women as I can. And yours can be, in this engineering, what kind of footprint? It could be a visual footprint, right? It can be an emotional footprint. That's the legacy. Think about the legacy you want to leave and the impact it's going to make, not just in this generation, but in generations to come. And what type of culture? Will it be a cultural shift for the better? We always want to leave something to make sure that we're doing something better for people. And that's how I try to coach my clients. What is it that you want to leave? And most of the time they say they want to leave a legacy.
The legacy is a great way to frame it because it helps you to then work backwards to what's an action step I can take today that would be aligned with my values to get there. We all have struggles and challenges. And I think in order to help the listener understand better where you're coming from, would you mind sharing something that you have overcome and the steps you took to move beyond something that was an obstacle?
Yes. It depends on how deep you want me to go. But I'll say one of my greatest challenges was listening to people telling me that my ideas were too risque. It went against the grain. It went against the norm, especially growing up in childhood. For the listeners, I'm a very transparent person. I was assaulted from my uncle from the age of 5 to 10, and it brought a lot of shame. It brought a lot of guilt. And I had my family that stuck beside me and believed in me. That was the pivotal moment because there's one thing that a lot of children have hard challenges with is going past that guilt and that pain, having that shame over their head. But that has been like one of my superpowers. Once I was able to get past that, share that, and also not feel guilty for something that someone else did to me, man, I mean, my voice got even louder and louder, and I wanted other people to feel the same way. I wanted them to be able to have a voice.
It's so admirable that you're able to talk about something so emotional today. And thank you for doing that and being so transparent. And it has empowered you, is the way I feel it. It's kind of unleashed a piece of you that now is out there helping other people and letting go of that guilt. I bet that was like a huge weight.
It's like a lioness that comes out every time I talk about it. I'm trying to tame the lion. But yes, it as a child, it's like you were in a walnut shell, tightly hidden. The secret is hidden. And once that secret is out, it's so much of a lift of weight off your shoulders.
And you are now sharing that out loud today, and you are talking about a family situation that maybe was taboo and it was something that you kept inside for a while. How do you now interact with this family member? It seems like something that would be holding on and holding you back.
Right. So I did forgive the family member. I am not around the family member anymore because I believe in wisdom. Okay. And I have 2 girls at the time. They're adults now. And I did not want to subject my child to that. I want to protect my child. So there's nothing wrong with forgiveness. I believe that being angry and being unforgiving can sometimes, it's just like you are taking the poison, but you're waiting for the other person to pass out. So that's how unforgiveness deals really with you. So I decided to forgive so that I can be free and so that I can help other women.
That's so impressive. I have heard this analogy of if you have a pebble in your shoe and you keep walking and you ignore it and you ignore it, and all of a sudden you have this blister and the pain is so unbearable that ignoring it is impossible. And you have to stop and face what happened to you and letting go of that guilt and being able to empower other people. And wow, how do you forgive someone for doing something so horrendous to a child who is so powerless?
Well, for me, it was just my faith. But, we all have something that we can hold on to. It can be your family members. It could be a group. It can be whatever. School, being around your professors, those people who are here to encourage you and help you. So, yeah, you can't do it alone. We have to have a community. We were built for community.
Well, I feel like a listener today might be thinking of something that they are holding on to, that they need to let go of, that they need to forgive, and this inspirational story could empower them. I would love to get to the question now about your legacy. So we're going to move to our final question, which is the time machine. So Dr. Rita Renee, a decade in the future, pops out of today, sits next to you and says, I just got out of the time machine from 2045. What do you hope you would hear from the older, wiser you today to keep you going and moving forward?
Absolutely. And I thought about this too. So I will say to myself, you know what? I'm so happy that you did not let all the trials hinder you from unmuting yourself and sharing your story. That you have impacted so many women, and so many women are walking into their purpose. They have changed their pain into purpose, and now they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing because you had the courage to unmute.